What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live. On today's show, we talk about Neil Olshey going to Philadelphia, or maybe just that's a BS rumor. We'll dive into that. We'll also talk about the collapse of the Los Angeles Clippers. Did someone say Cancun? I heard someone say Cancun. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the conference finals. You got the Miami Heat going up 2-0 over the Boston Celtics today. They are in the driver's seat to make the NBA Finals, and that is absolutely crazy. I said going into the season, there would be parity in the playoffs, and honestly, I wish this year's playoffs were being played in stadiums. But regardless, like just in terms of the parity, I love this year's playoffs because it's been the most unpredictable postseason that I think I've ever seen. You got a 1 versus 3 in the West, right? Everybody thought it was going to be the Battle of LA, and the Nuggets came back from 3-1, 2 series in a row, even though
first team ever.
Yeah, even though we picked the Clippers to win Game 7 on our last stream, we were wrong. I'm not betting against the Denver Nuggets anymore. So you have that amazing storyline of Denver and them upsetting the Clippers and them making it to the Western Conference Finals. And then you have the 3 and the 4 seed in the East. You got Boston, which is, Boston isn't as much of a surprise as Denver making it, I feel like. There was kind of like, in my opinion, 3 contenders in the East. It was Milwaukee, Toronto, and Boston. I didn't really think the Heat were a contender, and now they're up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So the parity has been fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on the Miami-Boston series. I kind of like Boston just because I like Tatum so much, but I just wanted that game. I wanted the series to go 1-1 tonight, so I'm kind of sad that Miami won, but it's a great story too. Like Jimmy Butler gotten a little crap the last few years for a situation that's happened in Minnesota and Philadelphia, and I think he's proven that it was those teams and those situations, not him, that was the problem.
Yeah,
so.
Like in Minnesota, he had issues with Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. Yep. They didn't think they worked hard enough. They were just naturally gifted players, number 1 overall picks that didn't grind like him. Jimmy Butler was a guy who was like a junior college player, then got to Marquette, and then 30th pick in the draft, worked his way into being an all-star, leading a team potentially to the finals now. So he's a guy who's had to work for everything he's gotten. So I understand now. At the time, it was like, wow, Jimmy Butler's being cancerous in that Minnesota locker room. But now looking back, I understand that. And then he clashed with Brett Brown. He didn't really like Brett Brown as a coach. And honestly, how many Sixers fans do you know that like Brett Brown as a coach? I don't think any of them do. And then they let him go. So I don't really blame Jimmy Butler there as well. It's just crazy that like Philadelphia couldn't get it done when they had Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons. That's kind of crazy to me.
And Tobias Harris.
And Tobias Harris. And JJ Redick. I mean, that team, you look back, that was loaded, but that wasn't the best fit for Jimmy Butler's overall skill set.
Yeah.
Miami is the perfect fit for his skill set, yeah.
So you just said that's not the best fit. So like that's kind of like Dame with Simmons. Like it's Simmons needs the ball to be effective. Butler needs the ball to be effective. If you play those two guys together, neither of them are great off ball. Dame could be good off ball, but at this point of his career, he hasn't done that. So you never know. But that's one of the reasons why we say like fit is more important than just getting the best players on the court.
Yeah, 100%. And you look at what Miami's done. I'll say this. Portland could learn a couple things from how Miami has done things there. That might be an article when the website launches. But you just look at the pieces they have around Jimmy Butler. You got Bam Adebayo, who's a good finisher around the rim, athletic big, and can pass. And then you got a bunch of shooters, just flat-out shooters. You got a great secondary perimeter scorer in Goran Dragic, who had 25 points today. But then you got snipers like Tyler Herro. He struggled from 3 today, but we know he can shoot the ball. You got Duncan Robinson, who was one of the best three-point shooters this year. You got Kelly Olynyk, who's a big who can shoot. Even on to Myers Leonard, who hasn't been playing, but he's a big that can shoot. Kendrick Nunn can definitely shoot, and he provides a little bit of playmaking off the dribble and ability to score off the dribble. So just the way all the pieces on that team mesh together under a great head coach of Eric Spoelstra, is resulting in a team that's 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. That's greater than the sum of their parts. Because if you just look at this roster on paper before the season, it's like before the season, Tyler Herro hadn't played. He was the 13th overall pick. Duncan Robinson, nobody knew who he was outside like me and you because we're basketball nerds. Kendrick Nunn, nobody really knew who he was outside maybe me and you. Like, you know, we kind of know these obscure players, but I don't blame people for not knowing who Kendrick Nunn or Duncan Robinson were. And Tyler Herro, 13th pick, and Bam Adebayo was one of the most improved players in the league. You could have made a case for him winning it over Brandon Ingram. So that's the thing. On paper, before the season, I was looking at this team like, I still only think they're a borderline playoff team. But the way they've come together and maximized literally every single player on that roster is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in the NBA.
And they make a big trade for Iguodala, and I don't even think he played in the second half of the game tonight. But they might be regretting paying him $15 million next year, extending that contract when they traded for him.
We said they shouldn't. They shouldn't sign him for that contract. I don't understand why you needed to pay him a whopping $15 million. He only played 7 minutes tonight, had 0 points, 0 rebounds, 1 assist, shot 0 for 0 from the floor. So.
Yeah, Jay Crowder has turned out to be much more important for them.
I know. Jay Crowder has been playing really well in Miami compared to his couple previous stops. So that's the thing. They also have switchable defenders. All that shooting, but then they also have like really good defensive wings. Obviously starts with Jimmy Butler, who made a number of great defensive plays. He kind of took over that game defensively today, which, you know, oftentimes you talk about a star taking over a playoff game on the offensive end, a la CJ McCollum, Game 7 against the Nuggets. But Jimmy Butler took over that game defensively. It helped that he converted it into points, but it was impressive just to see the way he changed that game on that end of the floor.
He's so smart. It's kind of like, because Rondo did this to us in the Pelican series, he just like anticipates what's going to happen next so well. Like he knows their offense just as good as the players on Boston do. So like he's able to get his hands and tip balls, and it's just it's not always a steal, but just disrupting the flow of their offense and stuff like that. To where you don't get a clean look or something. And he has so many of those plays throughout the game. But the improvement for Bam is what really set them over the top. Because if they didn't get like him turning into an actual playmaking big, that team wouldn't be quite as dynamic. But that just shows you, if you utilize a playmaking big properly, how much he can transform a team.
God, I watch the way Bam plays for them, and it's just like, man, why can't Nurkic be that? Obviously, Nurkic is a little different. He's not quite as athletic as Bam is, but just in terms of the skill set, it's just like, I feel like Nurk could do a lot of the things that Bam's doing. I'm obviously really high on Nurk, and maybe I'm a little bit biased, but just like the passing, the rebounding, the finishing inside, and Nurk's three-point shot, I think, will be a weapon in the next year or two. And Bam just makes that team so much harder to guard because of the way they utilize him. It makes me a bit frustrated that we don't use Nurkic a bit more like how Miami uses Bam.
Yeah, Bam can dribble a little better than Nurkic, but yeah, overall, he's got off-ball movement to pass to, and that's something that we've been begging for this team for years. But yeah.
And here's what I'll say about Miami. One of the biggest differences between Miami and us, right? Miami has great three-point shooters, but they play inside out. They attack and then collapse the defense and kick out to shooters. We play outside in. I think that playing inside out, it gets better shots because it's easier to shoot when the ball's coming directly out from the paint to you than from the side as you're running a flare screen or something. Two, it just makes you just so much harder to guard. It's so much harder to guard a team that's just constantly attacking. We'll throw it to a guy like Bam at the high post, has back screens, has cutters towards the rim. Sometimes a cutter is open, so the defense has to kind of rotate to help off that, and it leaves other guys open elsewhere. Just the way their offenses ran is beautiful, you know? Like, Jimmy Butler is obviously the guy that makes the offense go, and his playmaking and his slashing ability is phenomenal, but even without him on the court, they still get consistently good shots. And that's the thing. It's just a product of the way their offenses ran, and part of that starts with Bam being kind of a high post passer that's able to hit some of those cutters. Like they play inside out, and watching Miami just kind of, to me, just shows the flaws in Portland, because they play outside in, and I've always said it needs to be less running around the perimeter, less perimeter based stuff. They need to try and get shots in the paint, especially if the three ball isn't falling. Because that's the thing with Miami, three balls isn't falling, they attack. They just go. They attack hard. And they get really good three-point shots because of that. With us, it's like, if our three ball isn't falling, one, it's usually we're not getting good three-point looks because that's what we're settling for. And then two, like, we can't adapt off the three-point line because we're outside in. And if the outside isn't working, then we're screwed. Whereas Miami, it's inside out. It's just so much more dynamic.
Yep, completely agree. And I'm always a fan of playing inside out. I guess that's kind of just my play style too. But yeah, like if you start hitting shots inside or getting a dynamic big like Bam going inside, it just opens up all the passing lanes. And when you're a good passer, like, because Nurk could sit there all day in the post and pass to people if there was off-ball movement and cuts and stuff like that. It would be easy for him. The game would be so simple, and it just blows my mind that we don't do that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's frustrating.
The thing is, I feel like when people hear inside out, they think, oh, that means posting up somebody, and then when they draw a double team, kicking it out. That's not even what I mean. Inside out means consistently trying to attack the rim unless you have an open three ball, because the thing is, if you consistently attack the rim, you're going to get open three balls just from collapsing the defense, right? Now, obviously, you do have to have guys that can attack the rim from the three-point line, but I feel like this is just kind of a hypothetical example, but like the difference between us and Miami is if Miami has a good three-point shooter that catches the ball and has a guy closing out hard on him, they attack that closeout and get into the paint and either get a shot inside or open up an even better three-point look. Portland, if it's a good three-point shooter that catches the ball and has a guy closing out hard on him, they shoot the contested three, even if it's 18-17 on a shot clock, which at times I'm fine. You know, if Gary Trent Jr. is hot, CJ McCollum's hot, Damian Lillard's hot, like, I'm fine with them shooting contested catch-and-shoot threes, but that's the thing, is just like, more often than not, it hurts us, and then what's the excuse after games? It's, oh, we didn't make three-point shots, but and a lot of fans kind of defend our play style by saying, well, they just got to shoot better, they're missing shots. But those fans are missing the whole lead-up to what types of shots we're shooting and what types of shots we're getting. So that's the thing. That's the big difference between Miami. That's one thing that I think Portland could learn from Miami. Portland needs to be more dynamic and harder to guard in the playoffs, and they need to play more inside out. Inside means just attacking the rim, trying to get shots around the rim, having cutters to the rim, having off-ball movement to the rim, attacking closeouts and trying to get into the paint and collapse the defense. That is how I think the Portland Trailblazers would have been competitive against the Lakers if they did that. I think they could have maybe, if Dame doesn't get hurt, I think they could have at least gotten to 6 games if they did that. I think they would be much harder to guard in the postseason if they did that.
And we've been talking about this for years as well with CJ. When he gets to the free throw line, he draws the defense in, just like you're talking about. He commands so much respect, like people are watching him, the defense collapsed. It would be open if if the offense was designed for him to get into the key to get others involved and pass out. It would be so much better, but instead it's like, okay, go score or whatever, and that's all he does for the most part. Is when he drives into those middle, he tries to create for himself. But if the philosophy was like changed to where Stotts was like telling them, when you drive, this is what we want to do to create the defense to collapse, so you have these avenues to kick out to shooters and stuff like that. But instead it's just like, please score. I don't have a way to design an offense to do anything else if you don't score.
I'm gonna bring up the clipboard really quick, because like there's small things that Miami does well that I don't think Portland does well. So let me bring this up right here. Let me just set this up real quick. This is just a basic like off-ball thing that Miami does that Portland doesn't do, and it results in not only better three-point looks, but also better driving opportunities for the Heat. So let's just set this up like so. Whatever, that's good enough. So say Dame has the ball, or in this case it might be Jimmy Butler, whoever, right? Whoever has the ball and they attack. Like Jimmy Butler oftentimes will beat his guy off the dribble, same with Dame, and this guy will help over. Something Miami does is this guy goes up, right? Because this guy's helping from here. He's not going to... He's thinking his guy's here, because that's where his guy was when he started to help. As soon as this guy turns his head, Miami's guys relocate up here. This is Hero, this is Duncan Robinson, this is even Dragic. And this kick-out pass, A, the shooting guard doesn't know exactly where they are. B, it's further to run from here to here than from here back out to there. Like, it's just a little further to run. So Jimmy Butler will often kick to this guy and then, like, relocate around here, sometimes out of the three-point line. But, like, this is something that Dame should be doing. If this Dame and CJ should be relocating up court like this, and Dame can kick him the ball and run through. And what this leaves is this shooting guard's here, so he's closing out here. This leaves this whole lane open to drive, right? Not only is it further for the shooting guard to recover, so it might be a more open three-point look, this shooting guard was guarding a guy that was here who's now here, so the shooting guard is probably going to be closing out and giving up middle, right? If he closes out here, then CJ can drive. If Dame relocated there, CJ's able to beat this closing out shooting guard, then this point guard might get sucked in and help, and that's a kick out to Dame. Or this point guard is more worried about Dame. CJ can get downhill, force the center to help, drop-off pass. That is playing inside-out basketball, not selling for threes. That is kind of what the Miami Heat do. They're constantly probing. They're constantly setting themselves up to attack the rim. The thing, this is what the Blazers do more often than not. Right? You have Dame maybe get downhill, and the shooting guard will help over. And CJ won't move. CJ won't come up. CJ won't move. They'll kick out to CJ. This guy will close out. CJ will either shoot a contested three or just stop and stand there, let the shooting guard recover, and then CJ will go one-on-one. And it becomes iso ball. Like, it starts kind of the same way, but just from CJ not relocating up court, this is a harder three because it's more likely to be contested, but then also he doesn't really have a driving lane since this guy is able to close out straight on him. So that's the two, like, that's little differences between Miami's offense and Portland's offense that I've noticed that makes it so that Miami can attack the paint, even with guys that aren't like great attacking the paint. Even guys like Duncan Robinson are able to attack closeouts because they're able to relocate up and it gives up the middle of the floor. So that's the thing with Portland is I wish they did more of what Miami does. I wish they did what I illustrated in the first, the first sort of example, not the second example, because that's what they do. But that's the thing. It's like CJ will shoot that contested shot and miss it, and fans will say, CJ's just missing shots. They're not focusing on the little detailed things. Maybe because they don't know what to look for. Maybe because they haven't seen it out of a Portland team. But just watching this Miami team, I'm just noticing little things about their offense that are just absolutely non-existent in Portland's offense. And if Portland did them, their offense wouldn't struggle so much in the postseason. They'd be a lot more just a solid offensive team when it really matters.
Yep, completely agree. Nice breakdown.
So that's one thing they can learn from Miami. I have a second thing, and I've said this before. Neil Olshey doesn't work well around the fringes of the roster. You look at the last 2 years, the kind of fringe roster signings, fringe rotation signings. Mario Hezonja, Nick Stauskas, Anthony Tolliver, right? Going into the bubble, Jalen Adams. Who knows what was behind that. But you look at Miami, they have two role players. And Kendrick Nunn only played 5 minutes today, but he's been huge for them all season long. So has Duncan Robinson. Portland possibly could have had those guys if they wanted this summer, because those guys were unknown, undrafted free agents, right? I don't know how much of it is Miami realizing that like Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn were very underrated players and were just outright good, and like it's either that and or Miami's really good at developing players, and they developed Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn. But Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson were great at the start of the season. So I tend to lean towards Miami is identifying guys who are underrated and bringing them in.
But to your point, all season though, if Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn were on the Blazers, they wouldn't even get a legitimate chance to play. So that's one thing. It's hard to blame Olshey for that because like you have a guy like Little, maybe even Trent might have been able to do more if he was given more of a role earlier in the season. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's
some blame lies with Stotts for sure. It's just like, and I was mad about this. Like, what upside does Mario Hezonja bring you?
Yeah, the Tolliver and Hezonja and Stauskas, that was all.
Like, they already have shown, like, I mean, Tolliver was solid in the past couple years, but he's getting up there in age, and he's so limited. It's like, for those three guys at the signings, when the signings happened, I hated those signings because it was like, Mario Hezonja sucks. He's not going to provide anything this team needs. And everybody said, oh, well, he played in Orlando, which is a bad franchise, so just wait till he gets in Portland. What did they say about Nick Stauskas? Oh, well, he played in Brooklyn and a tanking Philadelphia team, so once he gets to Portland, he's going to be a lot better. Right? We hear that now about Aaron Gordon. Oh, well, he's been playing in Orlando. If he gets to Portland, he'll be given it'll be easier for him. He'll be in a good organization, so he'll automatically play better. Right? We've heard that year and year after year. Like, we've heard that so much. And it's just like outright, Nick Stauskas sucks. Mario Hezonja sucks. Anthony Tolliver wasn't that good to begin with and was already declining. So when you make those signings, it's like, what is the upside there? There is none, because those guys aren't going to help you in a playoff game. Right? And this team should be building towards, okay, trying to win playoff games. And Mario Hezonja and Anthony Tolliver are not going to help you win playoff games at all. There's nothing.
Yeah, the only fringe signing that was good was the Seth Curry one, but he kind of screwed himself by only signing him to 1 year, and then he plays well, and then we're screwed because we don't have his rights to re-sign him. And
and I mean, Seth might have only wanted a 1 year contract because he was hurt. That's why we got him so cheap.
Right.
Yeah. And he might have been thinking, I'm really good. I don't want to sign multiple years for only a couple $1 million. I'm going to take this 2 year, $1 million, or this 1 year, $2 million contract or whatever it was, and I'm going to ball out and earn myself a big contract, which is what he did. Also, there's injury uncertainty there. Like
Cent Dollar Cent mentions, Jake Layman. That's someone we could have kept instead of signing those guys. And he's one of those fringe players that could have taken another step this year.
See, that's more draft picks. Olshey is decent at drafting in the second round. I'm just talking about like free agent signings.
No, I'm saying keeping him or not. Like if we would have kept him instead of Hezonja or Tolliver or whatever. Yeah,
for sure. But like it just comes down to like his free agent signings around the fringes of the roster have never ever been good. Never been good. The only good one was Seth Curry. But Seth Curry had already proven, like, in spurts in the NBA that he could play. You look at Miami, they go out bringing Kendrick Nunn, undrafted free agent that nobody knew. Duncan Robinson, undrafted free agent that nobody knew unless they had watched some Michigan basketball because he played for Michigan. He wasn't even, like, the best player on Michigan. He was, like, a role player there. But that's the thing. They bring in these guys, and they just two of the best undrafted free agents this year. Maybe the top two best undrafted free agents that kind of broke out this year, that kind of came out of nowhere. You look at a guy like Bam, who they got with, I keep mixing up where they drafted him and Harrow. They drafted Tyler Harrow and Bam Adebayo with the 13th and 14th picks. That's great value at the end of the lottery. Like, I wasn't high on Tyler Harrow, but it's obvious, like, that's good value for where they picked him. Like, he's going to be good there. Like, he's already a contributor. He played 32 minutes tonight. Had 5 assists, didn't shoot the ball well, but had 5 assists, 9 rebounds, 11 points.
His defense been okay in this series, too.
And that's the thing, is just like, they get good value with their draft picks, but then they've supplemented that with getting guys on the free agent market for vet minimums that I don't even know how many other teams wanted them, and they've turned them into really good role players. Obviously, that's part player development, but that's part just identifying guys that are undervalued on the free agent market. Olshey doesn't do that. He goes out and signs Hezonja. He goes out and signs Stauskas. He goes out and signs Tolliver. And that's the thing. It's like, I would rather have a guy who maybe there's a 5% chance he could help us win a playoff game, like a Duncan Robinson or something. I don't know. I'd rather have that than a guy who there's a 0% chance that Mario Hezonja was going to help us win a playoff game. I said that at the start of the year. Everybody was kind of high on him. I was saying there's 0% chance that he, like, I was not on that bandwagon. And now everybody else sees that. Like, I would rather have a guy who's unknown, unheralded, but hasn't really gotten a shot yet, that might be a guy that once he gets a shot and once he, ends up in our system, his first shot in the NBA is with us, maybe he could help the team than a guy like Hezonja, Tolliver, or Stauskas who would never help us win a playoff game.
Yeah, I completely buy that. I definitely enjoy that argument you have.
Yeah.
Like this, it goes back to the last stream where we were talking about, Harry Giles or a Jonah Bolden type. Like those guys still have some upside potentially versus signing someone who, I can't think of a name off the top of my head, like a Markieff Morris or something. Like that guy's been kind of crappy the last couple of years or whatever, and he's just like, he's just there. Like he's not like great. He's not gonna do anything like special really, but like there's like sign someone who has a chance to like pop still. I always agree with that. Yep.
Thing is, Markieff Morris has had some good moments for the Lakers in this postseason run. He is noticeably better than Tolliver and Hezonja. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be as mad if it was something like that. I
wasn't saying he's that bad. I'm just saying like that's just a safe pick that wouldn't really change the direction of the team that much,
Let's look at the 2000. Okay, when was Hezonja drafted?
Trevin says Dragon Bender.
That would be such an Olshey thing. Like, he just needs to be in our system.
Because he was a free agent a couple times in the last year. So I was surprised that Olshey didn't pick him up.
That's such an Olshey pickup.
I could just see the press conference like, he was the top 4 pick or whatever, and like just hasn't gotten a chance yet.
But like, that's the thing is like, Hezonja 5th overall pick in 2015. Stauskas I think was the 8th overall pick in 2014. It's like something to do with lottery picks too, like with Hezonja and Stauskas kind of back-to-back years he signed it. So like looking into next year, lottery pick that hasn't panned out, Dragan Bender from 2016. Like instead of going out and signing a guy who like might actually be good, he's going to go out and get a guy like Dragan Bender who literally like has had so many opportunities in the NBA, and he's proven that he sucks. Okay, that's the thing. Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn hadn't proven that they sucked or anything. They just hadn't had a shot yet. Dragan Bender has proven that he sucked. But that would be such an Olshey signing. Like, Whiteside leaves, and we bring in Dragan Bender on a minimum, and he's going to be our backup center.
But again, what if we had Duncan Robinson this year, would we be saying the same thing? Like, why the heck did we sign Duncan Robinson? He didn't even play all year. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I mean, and that's the problem with Stotts too. Is like Olshey will go out and get a Hezonja, which I have a problem with, and give him to Stotts, and then Stotts will overplay him over guys like Nasir. Even though Nasir Little, like perfect example, Toronto game. Nasir Little locked up Pascal Siakam all game long. We were actually winning going into the fourth quarter, I think. Or at least we were like in that game. Whole fourth quarter, Nasir Little doesn't play. They put Hezonja on Siakam, and Siakam goes like 9 for 10 in the fourth quarter or whatever. That number's probably wrong, but it was something like that. It was Nasir Little locks Siakam down for 3 quarters, and then for some reason the fourth quarter, Terry Stotts went with Hezonja instead of Little, and Hezonja got absolutely dominated by Siakam.
I have another guy from that draft who I can totally see Olshey signing this summer.
Who?
Thon Baker.
That would be another, yeah.
He was rumored to want to trade up for him in that draft. So.
And you know what fans would say? Fans would be like, well, he played in Milwaukee before they were like really good. And then he played in Detroit, and Detroit's just a bad franchise. So just wait till he gets into Portland in a great system. And like his skill set is going to be a perfect fit for Stotts' offense. And he's going to be a really good player off the bench. That's what they would say. And like Bender played for Phoenix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same argument. Oh, he played for Phoenix, terrible franchise. He was a 4th overall pick for a reason. Wait till he gets into Portland's system.
Even though, like, his first year, he got, like, tons of minutes to try and...
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Stauskas had tons of time to try and do something.
Yeah.
So did Hazonia. They proved that they suck. If you watched them at all, you knew they weren't good. But that's the thing, like... Hazonia had a couple flashes in New York playing against G League teams, so he could be a point forward. It's just stuff like that, man. It drives me crazy. There's going to be a guy like that, and I will rant about him. And I hope everybody that was trying to tell me I was wrong on Mario Hazonia last year, I hope they believe me now when I say a guy sucks, right? Because I'm willing to give guys a chance. I was down on Gary Trent Jr. start this year, but I said if he could figure out how to be a good defender and like could shoot as well as we hope he could. Like, he could be a good player. I did say that even though I was down on him. I give pretty much anybody a chance. Hazonia was, like, the only guy I didn't really give a chance last year. And it was just, like... Because he's not good. I had watched him enough where I'm like, this guy is not good. He's not good at all. So I assume there's going to be a guy like that. Hopefully people believe me this time. Because I got... that. I've never had more people that support my channel disagree with any take as much as me saying Hazonia was going to suck before the season.
Real quick, so Kyle Wilson, we do not get any cap space by cutting Ariza. So we just lose Ariza for nothing and not get any other avenues to sign a player. And then also, Cent Dollar Cent or Nexus, whatever your name you're switching to, please, we get it. You like Aaron Naismith. We do not need you to keep spamming his stats and telling us how good he is. I love Aaron Naismith too, but like... We're not even talking about the draft right now. I don't know why you come in chat every time and just spam Aaron Naismith stats at us.
It's like that Bryce Cotton stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually looking through the comment section of that video.
We know his stats. You don't have to tell us.
Yeah, we will drop a draft profile at some point on Naismith for sure. Trust me. The draft is in 2 months. We don't even need to worry about the draft at the moment. Like, we can talk about it a little bit later if we want something to talk about, but like, we don't need to talk about the draft right now. The draft has been pushed back from October 18th to November 18th. The PS5 will be out before the draft happens. So we don't need to be talking about the draft a whole lot right now. We got postseason basketball, which... Tying it back, the Heat, man, they're fun to watch. I hope that series goes long, though. I want that series to go to a Game 7.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like, the Heat feels so much different, though. Like, with LeBron, it was like, oh, they're the, super team, LeBron. Like, they're going to be in the finals year after year because the East sucks. Now it's like they're the Cinderella story, hard-working underdogs. Like, it's just... completely different.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that it's setting up for them to win. I really hope Miami takes them out if that's the matchup.
Yep. So I'm gonna read off a couple of these comments here on Hazonia on like the video I dropped on him, because this is the stuff that was being said. Oh, I really hope we can unlock Hazonia knowing he has raw talent. Like, there's people telling me he was talented. Let me see here. This could be a video, but Hazonia is the replacement for ET. Everybody thought he was going to be some sort of point forward. I think Hazonia will be a strong player if we play him right, because at the end of the season with the Knicks, they played him at point guard and he had some great games. Mario is going to be great off the bench. I think his shooting percentage will go up, but he's also a good defender and passer. Like, that's the thing that was being said to me. It was like, have you guys not watched him play? And that's the thing, his shooting percentage will go up. Everybody assumes that if somebody comes here, their shooting percentage goes up 5-6 points percentage points. Everybody's telling me, like, we should want Aaron Gordon. I don't care that he shoots 30%. If he came here, he'd shoot 36%. No, he wouldn't.
Russell Westbrook's asking if you made any comments about Hazonia.
Westbrook, I will hit the Control F and I'll search your name on there. Maybe I should put them on the screen. Because these were the comments that were on the screen. Oh, whoops. There we go.
While you're doing that, so guys, what is the point of saving $10 million if it doesn't result in cap space? Like, why would you want Ariza to be kicked off the team? Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't allow us to do anything.
And we lose a $12 million trade chip, our only trade chip we have, if we let him go too. So, like, we wouldn't be able to make any trades, and we'd lose our best small forward right now.
We might have to put an article out about how cutting Ariza makes no sense.
Yeah.
Just to, like, spell it out for people. Which we will have that website launching in the next week. Let's go. Westbrook, I don't see anything that you said on the video. Let's see if Trevin. Nope. There's a lot of names I don't recognize.
I'm guessing some of those people commented on the live stream. Anime J, Definitive One. When we signed Hazonia on
Definitive One, man. He said Olshey already wanted Hazonia last year, and for good reason. I think you're sleeping on his skill set. You called him streaky, but Jake was streaky too, and Hazonia's a better defender and playmaker with better per 36 numbers. See, like, that's a better argument than a lot of the other ones. It just wasn't right. Orlando and New York. Okay, see, here comes the crap that I heard about Stauskas. Orlando and New York weren't using him correctly. And even if he does become Stauskas, which I doubt, Olshey turned Stauskas and Baldwin into Rodney Hood. No, he turned 2 second-round picks into Rodney Hood.
There's Mike Posner's down there. He's in the stream right now. Read what he said.
I will after this. If Stas uses lessons properly, I bet Mario has you cheering him on quickly and more consistently than Jake did. He just turned 24, and his potential is light years past what Nick Stauskas or Layman's ever was. And 27 likes, which I'm wrong about stuff too. It's just like everybody. This was everybody's take. I don't know if I even replied. What
did Leo say?
I'm a bit iffy on our bench next year. I feel like it got downgraded a bit, but we'll see how everything pans out. I do agree. We don't really. I think he meant have a backup center, and Hazonia is a complete wild card. Also, really going to miss Canner and Seth Curry. Yeah, Leo's on point. Mike Posner says, I got to disagree with you, bro. I get why you're mad about losing Goat. I miss Layman, man. But his replacement is Anthony Tolliver. How is Layman's replacement Anthony Tolliver? I'm confused. That's who he was signed and traded for. Layman wasn't signed and traded for Anthony Tolliver. I'm so confused. And that's whose role he's going to fill. I think Mario will fill more of ET's role, helping Simons with some ball handling, playmaking. Only Mario is a better shooter than ET. The problem is Mario still sucks at shooting, and he shoots like 100 times as many threes as ET did. That's the problem. Is like, I don't care if, like, that's the thing. If Mario's he is a better 3-point shooter than Evan Turner. But his 3-point shooting is worse for the team because he shoots so many more threes, and he's still not good at shooting threes. So that was like the big problem there.
Turner's a better passer and defender.
Yeah. So, like, I don't even disagree with that. The problem is that he shoots. You know, they both suck. Hazonia just sucks a little less, but Hazonia shoots a lot more. That's the problem. We get Hazonia on vet minimum, have more flexibility going forward. I think this is another good low-risk move by Neil. Still another great vid. Thanks for the upload. See, I appreciate. I'm not meaning to shine a spotlight on your comment.
He brought it up.
Oh,
he says, "Yeah, I don't know what I was saying. I'm an idiot." No, it's good. Like, I mean, that's fine. At least he was like respectful about it. The people who are like, "You're an idiot. He's the best player ever. He's going to be so good."
Yeah, and I was wrong on Gary Trent Jr. too. Like, so I mean, I've been wrong too. I just knew Hazonia wasn't going to pan out. Like, I was so confident he was going to pan out. I said Mario is still only a 32% 3-point shooter and has a higher turnover percentage than assist percentage for his career. And he's a worse defender, so I don't understand why people think he's better than Turner either. Because people were saying he's better than Turner. Developing our system. Kevin Brandt, is that your brother?
Nope.
Johnny Candido? I have no idea who that is. This guy actually is like... has like 132,000 followers, and I think that's the only comment he left me was saying I sound like Johnny Candido. Who's that? Do you know who that is?
I have no idea.
Ollie B says he watches my vids daily. Where'd he go? I don't know. Austin Samuels. I mean, that wasn't much. There's a lot of names I haven't seen and I don't even remember. Anime Jake. Is Anime Jake in here?
I don't think he's here tonight.
No more Jake Lehman or Maurice Harkless debates. I will say that watching his highlights, Hazonia plays much better when he plays point forward. He even hinted in an interview that he thinks he will be able to play point guard. And Hassan thinks he could play power forward and maybe even small forward. I don't get it either because I thought this was the year we let Anthony, Gary, and Scal play minutes. Yeah, we should have let Gary play over Hazonia from the start. I said 3 games, 2 of which were against G League teams. Have people thinking he's some sort of point forward. We'll see. Yeah. Steve said it's demoralizing playing for the Knicks. I don't disagree with that, but... what makes you think Stotts didn't like Lehman? I actually had somebody tell me that, like, I think is, like, plugged into the team. I don't know for sure, but trustworthy. That said that Stotts didn't like Lehman. He's never something that he's not somebody. The guy that I don't really talk to him much, but there's this guy that I talk to that never knows anything before it happens, but kind of knows like some details other people might not know after it happens, or at least he claims to know, and I have no reason not to trust him. Everything that he says makes sense, but he said that Stotts didn't like Lehman. So I said that in this video, that Stotts didn't like Lehman. People are like, what are you talking about? And what do I say? I have a source, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, right, YouTuber, you have a source? That's like the reaction I got. So anyway, there will be somebody this year that we signed. Hey, if Stanley, thank God Stanley Johnson is on a 2-year contract. Right? Isn't he on a 2-year with Toronto?
I think he's got a player option, so he'll probably accept it.
Okay, good. So. Thank God, because that would be like, oh, we found our 3-and-D wing. And then Stotts would play him over Gary Trent Jr.
Former number 8 pick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's got a player option for 3.8. I do not see him declining that.
Mm-hmm. Thank God. I wouldn't even trade Hazonia for him. He's as bad as Hazonia. But yeah, so there will be somebody like that. I might need to do some research, maybe put out a video or an article. That's the thing is, like, I don't know, I want to put out something about, like, underrated, very under-the-radar pickups that could break out if we signed them. You know, so like Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn type guys. So it'd be a bunch of guys people have probably never heard of. I want to put something like that out. The thing is, like, that could be a good video. That could be a good article. So I don't know which to do for that.
I'd be interested to see who you thought of that though.
Yeah, I'd probably ask you for some targets. I know you'd start off with Jonah Bolden. And I honestly, Jonah Bolden would be on that list.
Yeah.
Because I loved him coming out of the draft too. But like undrafted players this year, we'll have to wait and see.
TLC kind of broke out in the bubble though.
Yeah, I will say this: after the draft, I wanted us to get Lou Dort.
Yeah.
Because like he was like a projected late first.
We were talking about that on stream. How we were both surprised he didn't even get drafted.
He would have been I don't know, like Gary Trent Jr. stepped up into that role, so
yeah.
We kind of had somebody step into that role anyway, so it's fine. but that would have been a guy that I would have definitely signed over a Hazonia. You know what I mean? Like, because that guy is coming in like with defensive ability at least.
Jalen Horde, one guy we did sign. I think he might be in that category if he was used properly.
Yeah.
He showed some real ability to crash the boards for his size, and he can handle the ball a little bit. He can't shoot yet, so that's obviously going to be something he's got to work on if he's ever going to take that step. But I kind of liked what I saw in that playoff game from him.
That was a good pickup from Olshey. I would have played, at the end of the season, I would have played Horde over Hazonia in the bubble, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, like, Horde, you could tell he, like, kind of knows what his strengths are. That's the problem with Mario. He doesn't know what his strengths are. And that is an underrated thing when evaluating players. You look at Kent Bazemore. He didn't know what his strengths and weaknesses were, or at least he didn't play like he knew. So, yeah, I mean, Wenyan was, I feel like, a throw-in in that trade. Like, Olshey probably didn't even want Wenyan, but that was a good piece. So, like, I like Wenyan. I like Horde. I think Horde is potentially, like, a little smaller, a little less athletic Maurice Harkless long-term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just, like, crashes the boards hard, can offensive rebound, has some defensive potential, has some potential to be a decent finisher around the rim. There's just one play I keep going back to. The up and like under in traffic layup he had in the playoffs. I know it's just one play, but still, like, that play was most of the time when you have guys that have like questionable skills on two-way contracts that don't have a great feel for the game, that were undrafted, and basically a guy like Jalen Horde. Normally those guys aren't shooting layups where they're like going up strong, almost get blocked, so they bring the ball under and then scoop under the defense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if chat remembers what play I'm talking about, but that finish was like, okay, he has a little craftiness around the rim potentially. Like, the fact that he can do that without, like, ever really playing and just at this stage in his career, like, okay, I want to see if he can build on that and improve his finishing around the rim and just be craftier around the rim. Because that's the thing, if he can finish in crafty ways around the rim, that's something that Harkless did that was underrated. So if he can do that, that's good for his development, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about this Olshey to Philly rumor.
Yeah.
Or thing, because people are asking about it in chat. So in case you guys missed it, so today it came out that Olshey was on the short list for Philadelphia to they're looking at signing a new person in charge of basketball, basically a president. I don't know if that means they're going to fire Elton Brand or demote him or what, but they haven't yet, so it seems kind of weird that they're looking at a replacement like Olshey, who's going to come in and want complete control over personnel versus someone who would stay there but had it last year. I don't know. That's just really weird to me. But this is not coming from Olshey, and if it is, it's simply to... Okay, so this is the type of person Olshey is. The Blazers obviously had a bad season this year, right? You can blame injuries, and that's basically what they're going to blame it all on, the whole organization, whatever. Fine. But I think we started to see a little bit of heat, like, well, why didn't you trade Whiteside? Or why didn't you, like, bring more people to the bubble? Or why didn't you do this or that? Or, whatever. And so I could totally see Olshey basically listening to offers from other teams or wanting to be interviewed by other teams to say, hey, look at me, I'm still wanted by all these teams. Philadelphia's got a good roster and they want me to be their president of basketball operations, so I'm obviously good at my job. So just to take some heat off of him a little bit.
Yeah.
But he doesn't leak this stuff unless it's for some sort of benefit to him. So, like, it didn't come from him, and I doubt he would leave the Blazers for Philadelphia anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if he's like in contact under the radar with Philadelphia. It could leak from Philadelphia's side.
Yeah, that's true. But
But they wouldn't want it to leak because they still have Hilton Brand there.
But I think they'd have to ask for permission from Jody to talk to him, I think, because he's under contract through 2024. So,
yeah, I don't know. Who was the source on that?
His name's like Pompey or something.
Oh, Keith Pompey.
Yeah.
Huh. That was a really weird thing to see today. Because you don't really hear about Olshey potentially interested with other...
No, actually we have. It was like Atlanta a year or two ago.
Yeah, that's right, actually.
When Magic Johnson was fired last year, everyone assumed that Olshey would want to go back to LA. There was another one, I forget who it was, but he's actually been...
Yeah, you're right.
It's like I kind of equate it to like Nick Saban. So for years you'd always hear like, oh, Nick Saban's going to go to the Colts this offseason or something. They're just going to pay him a crap load of money, or Nick Saban's going to get offered $10 million a year to go to Texas or whatever. And Nick Saban's just like, yeah, like I'll go listen, because then Alabama's like, oh crap, we better give you an extension or pay you more money to stay here. And then like I don't think he's ever serious about leaving, but it's nice to like, you know, get the benefits of making your boss feel like you're super wanted and a commodity that you have to make sure you're really strong about keeping. So
yeah, I don't really know what to think about that, man. I don't know. Honestly, like I'm leaning towards like Keith Pompey has a faulty source or something. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. Honestly, I wouldn't hate it. I honestly, okay, if Olshey like just randomly left for Philadelphia, what would be your reaction to that in as few words as possible?
I'd be shocked.
Shocked? Okay, but like your opinion, like in terms of like, do you like it or hate it? Or in between, like what would be your reaction?
I'm torn on that because Olshey's basically in charge of the whole organization right now, because Jody doesn't really know the basketball side of it, right? She's just like doing whatever Olshey tells him. So I'm scared that we hire someone who wasn't good at running a whole organization and doing those things. So like
me. What if they fired Olshey and hired me? Would you like that?
It depends on if you hired me as assistant GM.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, then I'm 100% on board with you doing that. But like, say what you will about Olshey and his like personnel decisions, stuff like that. I have to give him credit for building the culture that is in Portland right now. He's got great guys to root for. I mean, some might say that's not the way to do it. Like, you don't want a team of like nice guys and stuff, but like I'm proud of the guys that are on this team, and like it's hard to hate anyone that he's brought in, really. And they're so good in the community and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's and I mean, yeah, a lot of it's Dame, but like Olshey has to give some credit for Dame wanting to stay here too, and liking Dame, but or like getting Dame to like it here. But like, yeah, I don't know what I think. It'd be really interesting to see what another person did when they came in, like, and how much, because I still don't think the same reason why we don't think Stotts is going to get fired right now because of that extension he signed would be the reason why someone new coming in wouldn't be able to fire him, because Jody would be like, no, we just gave him an extension. Like, I don't want to eat that money or whatever. So does someone just come in and make a stupid trade and trade all our future picks and CJ for like Tobias Harris or something, and then we're screwed for a bunch of years? Like, I don't know.
I mean, that would be like the worst GM in the league. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So your initial emotion would be nothing. It sounds like your initial emotion would be like you didn't like it.
I'd be surprised. Yeah, I would be surprised just because.
I know you'd be. I know you'd be surprised.
Well,
I would too. For all the reasons you stated.
So obviously we're not in the best position in terms of cap and assets moving forward. We're not in the worst position either. We're kind of in a nice. We have some young players. We have all our draft picks for the most part, except for a few second-round picks. He hasn't done anything to mess up anything. But Philadelphia is kind of screwed. They have Horford's contract. They have Tobias Harris. They have like no cap space. They have 4 basically max players that make over $100 million, and it's going to be really hard to do anything there. So like I'd just be really surprised if that is a well sought after GM position right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd be surprised. I was just wondering if he left, if he would like it or hate it, and it's not. I didn't conflicted. I understand the confliction.
I got into some people in the group chat today on Twitter with because all I saw was posts saying like, yeah, let Olshey go and get someone who actually takes risks or whatever. It's like what does that even mean? I get so frustrated with people that say that.
You were spending facts in the group chat.
And then someone was arguing about how we should have traded for Kawhi Leonard, and that was a huge mistake not to take that risk. And it's like, not getting one trade, like, you know how hard it is to make a trade? Like, we don't even know if San Antonio wanted CJ, and if they didn't, then we had nothing to offer them of substance to get Kawhi. And at the end of the day, he was coming off an injury that some people said his quad was deteriorating, and we couldn't. He might not be the same ever again. And yeah, in hindsight, he turned out to be good, and it might have been a risk we should have taken. But just like not getting one player is. It just drives me crazy. Like, oh, Neil didn't even offer San Antonio. Like, how do you know that, dude?
Yeah. I would like it.
You would like it if he left?
If news broke that like Olshey's going to Philadelphia, I'd be like, okay, cool. I would feel slightly, not strongly, but slightly positive about that. Just because like we I don't know. I'm just everything's stale. I'm tired of the status quo. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm just tired of the status quo. So something that like shakes up the status quo like that would be like, okay, cool. And then maybe, you know, you get a new GM in there. Maybe Stotts is gone the year after. You know what I mean? That increases the likelihood that Stotts isn't going to spend 40 years as our head coach. So
Alex Wolf is saying Neil's hit his ceiling. Here's where I disagree with that.
How do GMs even have a ceiling? This doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all. So I love Paul Allen. He was the best thing that could have happened to the Blazers. They probably wouldn't even be in Portland anymore if it wasn't for Paul Allen. So like mad props. Like, and if I was the owner of a pro team, I would also be like he was and be involved and want to keep draft picks and do all that stuff, because like I would think that I would know more than my GM and stuff, and I would meddle and do all that stuff, which probably wouldn't be great to have a meddler, but at the same time, like, it's my team, like I would want to do that, so I don't blame him for any of this. But ever since Paul passed away, I don't feel like Neil has made that many screw-ups. I feel like he's been a better GM since that moment. And yeah, we can argue about the fringe stuff, and the not trading Whiteside obviously was a huge mistake, I think, still at the trade deadline. But I get why we didn't trade him. I mean, we needed a center, and like we could have been creative, whatever. But it didn't happen. But I feel like he had a pretty good season last year. You know, he brings in Curry, he gets Hood, he gets Cantor off the buyout market. primarily because of a relationship he built with Cantor when he tried to sign him a few years prior. And then, last offseason, we both thought he had a good offseason, trading for Whiteside, retaining Hood, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of just want to see if he continues that or if he's going to revert back to his old style at some point. Because I could make the argument that he's only not doing a good job when he's being told to be financially responsible. So like a few years ago, he had to trade away Vonleh. He had to make the trade for Crabbe for Andrew Nicholson to save money and then stretch him. He had to trade Scal for financial reasons. So I don't mean to like make it come back to this, but if this was a 1-year outlier where we were below 500 most of the season and Jody was like, look, we have the highest payroll in the league. What are we doing? Like, we're under 500. Can we please be a little more financially responsible this year? And then next year we'll maybe go back to being trying to win again. So if that's what happened, then great. But if it's going to be like this moving forward with Jody, then I don't think any GM is going to really be able to change that. We're going to be kind of screwed as a small market. So,
if that's the case, he needs to just sell the damn team.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you there. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna handicap him this offseason.
But I want to say,
no, don't know.
Olshey has the team set up with he's got the trade exception, he's got the mid-level exception. He can make other trades. He can sign people to minimum contracts if he plays his cards right. So he better come out with this offseason with a super deep 9-man rotation that's pretty good. If he doesn't, it's a failure. Especially if we lose Whiteside and Melo and we don't sign anyone to replace those guys, and he just thinks like if he drafts say Precious or someone and he thinks he's going to step in and take Melo's role or something, and doesn't really do anything to increase our chances next year. But like I said, ever since Paul passed away, I feel like he has kind of been free to make decisions purely based on what he wants to do versus having to clear it with someone else. And so yeah, I just kind of want to see if he continues that or if he reverts back to his old. If he reverts back to how he was the prior couple of years, then obviously we're going to be not in a good situation. And the year there was a year where we were pretty good with Aldridge and all that, and our big offseason acquisitions was like Kaman and Steve Blake. If we have an offseason like that, I'm gonna be so mad. Like that kind of screwed us over. And he was trying to get like Spencer Hawes was his number one target, stuff like that. So if we revert back to that kind of Olshey, then yeah, I'm not gonna be happy. But hopefully he's learned from that kind of stuff.
Well, this summer is his make or break summer for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Yeah, I don't even know what specifically to respond to there. It's his make or break. It's his make or break summer for me.
You do agree he's been pretty good the last 2 seasons, other than the fringe stuff you were talking about, right?
I mean, the Seth Curry signing, good. The Stauskas signing, bad. The Rodney Hood trade was good. The Ariza trade was definitely good. The Sam Whiteside trade, I still think, was good. I almost would have rather them, like, honestly, looking back, I almost would have rather them just sign a vet minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, but you needed a starting center. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you needed a starting center. The thing is, they probably should have just signed a minimum level center, because if I recall correctly, there was a couple like decent minimum level centers, and like Hassan Whiteside is overrated, and Olshey overrates him. So like that was a good move, but I wouldn't say that was like a great move.
Yeah.
I still probably would have done it. Yeah,
We could have. I mean, Aaron Baines was a guy that was traded last summer for basically nothing and a salary dump. I mean, we didn't have the ability to get him in a salary dump, but the Suns wouldn't have been tied to him. Like we could have made a small move like that, but
yeah, I mean, like we missed Harkless this year, and Myers Leonard could have been a good backup center behind a guy that we signed off the free agent market. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But we didn't have like anything more than a minimum, so it would have had to be a guy for a minimum. But that's the thing, like that's just kind of nitpicking that move. Like that move was solid, and the reason trade was good, and like the Gary Trent Jr. draft pick was good. The Anthony Simons draft pick is up in the air. The Nasir Little draft pick, even if Nasir Little busts, like it was a good pick just because of the upside that you were able to get there at 25.
Yeah.
So like I mean, the thing is though is like a couple of those moves, I feel like I can't give him any credit for drafting Nasir Little at 25. If Nasir Little ends up being a superstar, I'm not giving Olshey any credit because it was such an obvious pick. Me and you were sitting there saying, like, they better take Nasir Little. You know what I mean? Like, anything that's, like, that obvious to me and you, I'm not going to, give a ton of credit to a GM for.
But, I mean, Phoenix had the pick before, and they took Jerome Lane.
Yeah, Jerome Lane.
Or who was
Ty
it?
Jerome?
Jerome guy.
Yeah, you can
Sorry.
You can maybe
I got my Jeromes mixed up.
You can maybe bash a GM for not taking Nasir Little at like 24 or whatever. Like if Olshey didn't take Nasir Little, I would have bashed the hell out of him if he took like a Ty Jerome at 25 or whatever. You know what I mean? But I can't give him credit for drafting Nasir Little at 25 because it was so obvious.
I don't know. We should have taken Bol, remember?
God. Yeah, Bol. Yeah, I don't know. Bol, like those guys are such outliers just because of the injuries, and like a guy like that, Michael Porter Jr., it was like such an injury outlier. Like I don't know. I'm even like trying to evaluate GMs based on drafting a Bol. Like we don't know. He could be awful. He could be good. I'm not sure yet. But that's the thing. I'm not gonna give him credit for Nasir. I'm just not, like, because it was obvious. I would have drafted Nasir. You would have drafted Nasir. 90% of the people in our live stream chat during the draft would have drafted Nasir. Everybody was like, Nasir. Like, yes. That was so obvious. I'm not going to give credit for that. But, yeah, I mean, the past couple of years he's been solid. He's been solid. I wouldn't say he's been, like, great. I don't even know if I'd necessarily say good. Like, he's been solid to good. Like, in that range. The problem is we need somebody that makes a great move. Or we need somebody that's like Miami the past 3 years has been great with the moves they've made. Has been phenomenal. Danny Ainge has been phenomenal. Toronto has been phenomenal the past 3 or 4 years with like getting Siakam at 27, getting Norman Powell in the second round. That trade for Kawhi won them a championship, but then the fact that they're able to have Ibaka and Gasol, like the trades they made for them, like you look at the contending teams, almost all of them has had a GM. I'm not gonna give whoever I forget who the GM for the Lakers is at this point, but I'm not giving. Is it still Rob Pelinka? I thought he got fired for some reason. I'm not giving him any credit for like LeBron wanting to go there and AD wanting to go there. But you look at most contending teams, their GM has done a better job than Olshey over the past 3 years. Denver, I'd say I don't know. That starts like a while ago with like the Jokic draft, so that's kind of getting outside that window. But most teams, I would say.
I mean, we did fleece Denver.
We did fleece Denver. You know what I mean? But, like, other than the LA teams, it's hard to, like... I mean, you look at OKC. The job OKC has done. Like, Presti the past 3 years has been better than Olshey.
Oh, I don't agree with that at all.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. The moves in isolation that he's made.
But
you look at what he turned Sabonis and Oladipo into. I know he kind of got lucky with the fact that, like, the Clippers needed to make that move to get Kawhi.
But he made that move, and Paul George and Westbrook didn't even get out of the first round ever. So
well, I mean, they did have like what I think might be the worst head coach in the league.
Okay, but he hired the head coach, so yeah. If you
but in terms of, I'm not talking. I'm just talking about personnel roster moves. You look at the roster moves that were made the last 3 years for OKC. I think it's better than the roster moves Olshey's made in the last 3 years.
I'm not saying I don't like the way they're setting themselves up for the future, but like, other than the Kawhi move, and obviously the AD move is looking like it's going to work out for the Lakers this year, but I mean, he would only go to the Lakers basically. So like, was it really, like you said, it's not the Lakers that traded for him or made some special move. But other than that,
you're forgetting where they started though. They had Durant leaves, and you have Russell Westbrook and Serge Ibaka, and what else?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He turned Serge Ibaka into Oladipo and Sabonis, then turned Oladipo and Sabonis into Paul George, then turned Paul George into just a mammoth trade haul. You know what I mean? Like, they were not, 3 years ago, they were not in as good of a position. Before they got Paul George, they were not in as good of a position as we were, I think, roster-wise.
And they still did worse than us.
No, I mean they didn't catch up to us, but they were in a far worse position in my opinion. I don't know. Like they literally had Russ and Ibaka, and that was it. And they turned Ibaka into what they got back for Paul George.
Yeah,
that's insane. Like I don't know. Like, but we haven't like flipped an ass. We haven't flipped a guy like Maurice Harkless into 4 first-round picks and like good role players and stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know.
But when we, like the past few years, we've been trying to win. They were trying to retool and like get younger and do stuff like with the Ibaka trade, and then it just worked out for them. I mean, you could argue that they got pretty lucky with the Indiana trade because I don't know. I thought that was a terrible trade for Indiana at the time. Shows how much I know, but
yeah, they get 2 All-Stars out of that.
Sabonis was very mediocre his first year in OKC, and Oladipo hadn't really done anything to warrant him having a breakout season the next year. But we offered like 3 first-round picks and basically anyone on our roster outside of Dame and CJ. So
here's
like,
what I'll say to that. I think Presti is a better negotiator than I think
that might be true.
Because he's gotten amazing value on the Ibaka
the
trade.
Westbrook CP3 trade.
Then on the Ibaka for Oladipo and Sabonis trade, he got great value on that because I think he got back like something else on top of that. I don't even remember. Like, he got great value on that trade. He got great value on trading Sabonis and Oladipo at the time, who didn't have like great trade value, I didn't think. He got great value in them, trading them to Paul George. Then he got phenomenal value on Paul George. You know what I mean? Like, he's maximized value in a bunch of different moves. So that's the thing is I understand why it's debatable. Sorry, I got to turn off my buzzer on my vibration. I understand why it's debatable, but I'm not putting Olshey above like OKC's GM.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is none of those moves outside of Toronto have worked out. We say this at least the last 3 years, probably the last 4 years, like, oh, look at all these teams in the West. They're all making risky moves and doing all these things, making all these trades. And there's the Blazers. They're still, other than this year when we're injured, we're still right there in the mix with all these teams.
I'm not arguing that necessarily we should have made, like, I'm not, like, pissed off at Olshey. I'm just saying I'm not going to put him above the teams that have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, sometimes the right move is not making a move necessarily. I mean, look at stupid Minnesota. Like, how many years have I heard that, oh, look at them, watch out, they're 100 times better than the Blazers now.
Oh, well,
I get so sick of that.
1,000,000% put Olshey above Minnesota's GM. I'd 100% put Olshey above what Philadelphia has done. the past like 3 years, and everybody was saying, "Oh, look at what Philadelphia's done. They're going out and getting players, and what has it led to?" I mean, they were a buzzer beater and an overtime away from making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they could have definitely beaten the Bucks and gotten to the finals. And then with Golden State hurt, like if Kawhi misses that shot and it goes into overtime, Philadelphia might win a championship last year. I'm just saying, like, you never know. But like the Horford contract, terrible. They lost Jimmy Butler because they had a terrible coach who they should have fired before that. They haven't surrounded Embiid and Simmons with the right pieces. So yeah, I mean, I Philadelphia, Minnesota, like teams like that, I put Olshey above those teams, but there's a reason why those teams are contenders, because of the moves they made. The reason the teams that are contenders is because of the moves they have made. So if we're holding Olshey I hold Olshey to a contention level standard. You know what I mean? Like, I hold him to the standard that contention level teams have set, and I can't say he's done good when you hold him to that standard.
If we didn't blow 3 consecutive double-digit leads against Golden State, we were contenders too.
Yeah, I mean, we got swept. That's a bigger what if than like, oh, what if Kawhi misses that shot and they win in overtime? You know what I mean? I don't know. I get it, but
they could have lost to the Bucks too. But maybe we're talking about the Bucks a lot.
But like, they almost beat the team that won the championship. You know what I mean? We got swept by the team who didn't have KD and who lost the championship. Like,
yeah, they're also in the East.
Yeah, but
I'm just
Toronto won the championship. Like, Toronto, phenomenal team that Philadelphia almost beat.
I would have liked to see what Philadelphia would be right now if Hinkie didn't get forced out.
Oh, I know.
That would have been interesting.
I mean,
I'm not saying I'd want to hire Hinkie. I don't want anything. That guy's crazy.
It goes back to the fact that they took Fultz over Tatum.
Yep.
Tatum would have been freaking phenomenal. You could have, you got Ben Simmons, right? They had drafted Ben Simmons by that. Yeah, Ben Simmons was 2016. Ben Simmons was hurt for so long that's like hard to remember even when he got drafted. So they had Ben Simmons, point forward, 6'10". You could have just surrounded him with guys that are like 6'8" and taller and just switched everything, but actually had size. They could have been like Houston with the size to be able to like not be a joke on the interior. You know what I mean? And Jason Tatum's good enough to play. Jason Tatum could play shooting guard. He's that talented, and he's 6'8". He could play any position. They should have drafted him. And had him, Simmons, and Embiid. Like, oh, that's where they screwed up.
Here's the deal, though. They were picking third. If they were going to take Tatum, I don't think Boston would have traded with them. I think that was part of their arrangement for the trade, but they shouldn't have still made that trade.
No, they should have promised, okay, yeah, we're going to take Fultz, and then they should have taken Tatum. That's what I would have done.
But I think it was like trading the rights in the trade, so...
No, I thought that trade went through before that.
Maybe, yeah. Because
let me look up Markelle Fultz draft. He is in let's see what cap he was wearing. He was in a Philadelphia cap. So it wasn't the rights. Because if it was the rights, then he would have been in a Boston cap and then traded afterwards. So he was in a Philadelphia cap. So they could have taken Jason Tatum.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how binding that is if you agree to a deal. But they...
I don't think it is. It can't be. It can't be binding. If they agree to a trade and it goes through, like, it wouldn't have been against league rules for them to take Tatum even if they promised Boston they'd take Fultz.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that. Just the repercussions of you screwing over a team like that.
I wouldn't care. You'd have Tatum, Simmons, and Embiid. And the thing is, I don't
Tatum wasn't that hot. Like, Philadelphia was stupid because like, people thought taking Tatum at 3 was a little bit of a stretch. Like, that was stupid. Like, you and I both thought he should have been the number one pick. Yeah, I think Boston would have just stayed there if they thought there was any inclination that they were taking anyone other than Markelle Fultz. Boston wouldn't have made that trade, I don't think.
Well, that's why you tell them you're taking Fultz and then you take Tatum. Honestly, if Philadelphia did that to Boston, I don't think the repercussions would have been that bad because Boston only had that pick because they absolutely fleeced Brooklyn, who was a worst ran
like
team.
That wasn't a dirty
It wasn't a dirty
move
trade, but like it's not that dirty to say, yeah, we'll do this trade and we'll take Markelle Fultz and then taking Jason Tatum. That's not that. That's not that dirty.
Like, Fultz was there in Philadelphia the day of the trade in a workout, and they were already like celebrating like they won the championship because they are getting Fultz, and he was already
that's where you
wearing
say,
Philadelphia gear and stuff like that.
That's where you leak something that says we know something in his physical.
Dude.
That's when you leak that, and then when his shoulder falls apart, you're like, see.
I don't want you to be the GM of the Blazers now. That's shady, man. But you can't do that stuff.
Oh, to get Jason Tatum, with how high I was on Jason Tatum, bro, like they wouldn't have needed any other teams to deal with them after that. They had Tatum, Simmons, Embiid.
But like I said,
on rookie contracts.
They thought Fultz was way better than Tatum, so that never even crossed.
Also, who knows if they even gets out, because that might make Boston just look bad in itself. You know what I mean? And that's where, if you're Philadelphia, you deny the fact that you ever said you were taking Fultz. And then it's Boston's word against yours.
No, I think Boston would have said, if they were worried at all about that happening, they wouldn't have agreed to the trade until the draft day. Then they wouldn't have done it beforehand. But
and that would be on Boston, because they could wait. But if they did that beforehand, because I said I'm taking Fultz, that's on Boston for not having the foresight. Yeah, you can. You can do that.
You would get blackballed from the league. Like no one.
No, because it would be my word against Danny Ainge's.
Dude, you probably get fired by the NBA.
I don't think so.
They can talk about that in like the call.
Yeah, but like there's nothing in the rules.
With us and Nolan Smith and Kenneth Faried.
Yeah, but there's nothing in the rules though that says you can't lie to other GMs.
Dude,
or can't lie on the trade call.
No one would ever do that. No one would ever trade with you. There's no rule, but like, yeah. I mean, if they agreed to the terms of the trade being, yes, we'll make this trade contingent on this, you can't go back on that.
There's nothing written in stone.
I'm saying as a business person, as a GM, you cannot do that. Like you would, yeah.
No, I would make Danny Ainge look like he's making some stuff up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're just a horrible person then. That's like terrible.
No, that's business. That's business. That's business.
That's not business. That's just you being a horrible
business.
person.
No, Danny Ainge absolutely knew he was fleecing Brooklyn, and he still did it, even though he knew Brooklyn was going to get screwed over for what Brooklyn traded.
But Brooklyn wanted to do that.
Yeah. Well, Boston would want to do that too. So that's on them, man. But no, I would, if that's really that much of a problem, I'd say we are strongly leaning towards taking Markelle Fultz. There you go. And then maybe they wait to do the deal. Is that good enough for you, assistant GM? We are strongly leaning towards taking Markelle Fultz.
And I don't think Boston would have agreed to that because they would have just stayed at one and taken Tatum. They wanted Tatum. They did not want anyone else in that draft.
Okay,
they wanted
but
Tatum,
then Philadelphia gets Markelle Fultz and don't have to trade up.
Yeah, that's why Philadelphia is stupid.
Yes. Yes. They should have worded it in a way where they could have potentially positioned themselves for Jason Tatum. And then if not, they should have wanted Tatum. That's the problem. They should have wanted Tatum. That's the problem.
Yep.
But if I'm the GM, I'm trying to do whatever I can to make my team the best. Obviously, relations with other GMs matters, but in the end, it's a business. And if I have to bend the truth at the expense of Danny Ainge in order to make my team win a championship, I'm doing that. 100%.
They didn't even want. They made the trade and they didn't even want Tatum. So
you guys would do that for a Blazers championship too. Don't even like if it meant a championship. If it meant the Blazers won a championship, if that's what that meant, you guys would do it too.
Every mock draft had Fultz number 1, and that there wasn't a single one that had anyone other than Fultz as the number 1 pick in that draft.
So you think it would have really been that bad to say, oh, well, his physical came up bad after the trade was made?
No,
actually, that could take a stock. That would probably be shitty
after practice facility with the team. They were all celebrating when the trade was made. Like that wasn't. They made that trade to get Markelle Fultz.
You don't even know if Boston would or would not have made that trade. Do you?
Yes. Danny Ainge, it was rumored that he absolutely would have taken Tatum at number 1 if he had to.
So he's just shitting all over the Sixers, but that's okay.
The fact that he got an extra first-round pick unprotected out of it was icing on the cake, but yeah.
Yeah, so he just admits he played Philadelphia like a fiddle and fleeced them. Fleeced yet another team, right? He only had that pick.
It's a fair trade, though. He didn't lie to them and say...
Yeah, but he's basically coming out publicly and saying, like, Philadelphia didn't have to make this trade, but because I'm a good GM, they did. Like, you're basically making Philadelphia look bad.
The Lakers could have taken Fultz.
Everybody knew Lakers were taking Lonzo.
But they were rumored to... Because when it came out that Boston wanted Tatum, the Lakers had a really good workout with Fultz, and they I thought I heard somewhere where there was a rumor they would take Fultz if it came down to those two, but they were taking Lonzo because Fultz was off the table. But
still, that still was Danny Ainge kind of making Philadelphia look bad because they like. Should have taken. I don't know. That's still Danny Ainge kind of throwing Philadelphia under the bus a little bit, in my opinion.
You're just trying to justify your.
No, I'm not. I'm not, bro. Yeah, you don't think Danny Ainge would do what I've been talking about, bro? Yes, he would. He's the most shrewd GM there is, bro. Like he's.
No, there would have been no point. Like he had the number 1 pick. He could have just taken Tatum. There was no point.
He would 100% screw over another team if it meant that. He would 100% screw over another team if it meant that his team was getting the best end of a deal. He's already done it.
He's not going to lie to them to do it. Okay, now let's not question people's character. That's stupid.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying it's not an attack on his character. It's part of the game, in my opinion. Right? If you bluff in poker, it's on your opponent to either see through, call your bluff, or not. You could bluff and say you're taking Tatum. I don't see that as that's something that's so bad to do. I don't know. It's a bluff.
It's one thing to say that. That's fine. But you could not say, we will only make this trade if you are taking Markelle Fultz, and then go back on that word. That is completely different than saying, we don't know who we have, we might take Fultz, we really like Fultz. I don't know if we're going to take him, but we really like him, that's why we're trading up to 1.
When you bluff in poker, it's not 50-50, though. You're not pushing it, you're not pushing all your chips in to say, like, I might have a good hand. You're pushing all your chips in to make it look like, I have a great hand. So you're bluffing. You're 100% bluffing, like, hard bluff. That's what that would be. It's just be a hard bluff. I don't know.
But you can't agree to make a trade only if you take this guy. That's not a bluff. That's just a flat out lie, and you're trying to cheat your way to winning. That's stupid.
Cheating. That's not cheating.
It is cheating if you agree with someone and you have it's your word that you will take someone and then you take someone else. That's flat out lie. And you're a terrible person, a sketchy character if you do that crap. And I don't want to be associated with anyone who would pull that crap with me. Like if I was making a trade, I would.
Bro, it's only cheating if it's against the rules.
You, dude. Yeah.
Oh, so screw me. Okay, that's how you're gonna be. Really, it's only cheating if it's against the rules. It's only cheating.
You don't even know if that's if you can have that contingency in a trade. Like, for all we know, you can have that contingency in the trade. Maybe when they called the league office,
Oh, well, if it
Boston
isn't the
told
rules,
them
then
this
yeah,
trade
you
is
can't
contingent
do
on
that
this
because it's
big
against the rules. I honestly think, bro, you think GMs wouldn't try and find
Mike says,
any
call integrity,
loophole?
man. Try having some.
Bro, okay, bro, I'm done with you. If you're gonna start attacking my character over a hypothetical GM thing, man, the hell, you're like literally starting to attack me.
Dude, everyone in the comments is commenting about how you're showing shady characterness right now. Like, I don't know. It's just really sketchy what you're saying. I'm sorry, but
bro, you don't think GMs would do anything they could within the rules, even if it meant screwing over another GM?
Let me ask you this.
You don't think so?
Okay, let me ask you this.
What?
Okay, I know everything about your system. Tomorrow, I set up everything that you were planning on doing. It takes off. I'm hugely successful. I'm running NBA Uprise, and it's like the best program ever. I have my own website. It dominates your website. All that stuff. I tell you, bro, I didn't have a contract with you, so shut up, dude. Like, I can do what I want. I'm making money now. I'm rich.
We're like literally,
thing, right?
We're literally on the same fucking
That's
team.
the same thing.
We're on the same team, and then you go and start competing against me, taking what I've planned with you on my team. Yeah, bro. That's completely different. We're not competitors right now.
That's the type of person you do.
We're not competitors right now. That's a terrible analogy. We're not competitors right now.
Okay.
Like, you are on my team, I think you're starting to like attack my character.
Yeah, I'm 100% on your team. Yeah. I would never do that to you because I'm a good person. I wouldn't do that. So.
And I wouldn't do that to you because we're on the same team, because we're freaking in a partnership. There's a difference between having a partnership as partners and then breaking that partnership so you can gain as an individual. I think that's different than you making a deal as a competitor saying, yeah, we're going to draft Markelle Fultz and then drafting Jason Tatum. Like, I think those are two completely different things. That's like,
and again,
if you think those are the same thing, then I get why people would attack my character. But those are two completely different things.
Okay. We'll just leave it at that then. Goodbye.
I don't know. Like, I think GMs in the NBA, it's eat or be eaten for the most part.
Okay.
Isn't it? Like, Danny Ainge ended people's careers for how bad he fleeced them.
Yes, you want to fleece GMs. You want to do that. But flat out going back on your word on a contingency in a trade is different than just trying to play a game and making it seem like you're going to take Fultz when you're planning on taking Tatum. That's fine. That's totally legit to do. But, like, to say if Boston and Philadelphia agreed that the only way this trade can go through is if Markelle Fultz is the number one pick. If not, we are not doing this trade, and there is no way around that. Then if then Philadelphia takes Jason Tatum, I think that's super shady and would say a lot about the character of Philadelphia and their organization. But yeah.
To me, I guess I'd just look at it as more of a bluff.
Okay.
Like, do you see what
I'm saying?
But
that's not bluffing. I mean, a bluff is saying, we really like Markelle Fultz, we want to get him, and Boston's like, oh yes, they want Fultz, yes, we're going to trade them the first pick and still get Tatum, and then you make the trade and they take Tatum and you're like, oh shit, like that's.
Well, I mean,
bluff.
when you bluff in poker, you're like putting all your chips all in to make somebody bow out of the pot, thinking you have a good hand.
Yeah.
When you don't, you're faking.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah. Okay. So. That's more like a bluff instead of like you like you like
lying and going back on your word is completely different. That's like having an ace up your sleeve and cheating the game to win. That's different.
it's closer to a bluff than like you fucking up my livelihood and like my business plans, like by stabbing me in the back when we were like already partners.
It just shows a similar character is what I was trying to say, but.
Not really, bro. Like, I get how you're viewing it. I just view it as more of a bluff, and it's on Boston to either call the bluff or not. If there's rules against that, the NBA should probably have some sort of rule against that so that GMs can't do that. But honestly, I think most GMs would try and do anything within the rules to get ahead, even if it meant screwing over another GM, because you see it with like trades all the time, in my opinion. And yes, it's on, Billy King and the Brooklyn Nets to not give up 4 unprotected first-round picks. But it's also on Boston whether or not they want to believe Philadelphia. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not... Okay, I'm done with this. I can't even talk about it anymore. Let's just move on to something.
I mean, you're just attacking my fucking character, bro, and I don't like that. Like, just because I see things differently, bro.
Philadelphia in this situation is not bluffing that they're taking Fultz. They would have agreed to not take Tatum and absolutely agreed to it. That's not a bluff. That is a deal, a business arrangement that they backed out of and then were like, haha, gotcha. That's completely different than saying, oh, we really like Fultz. We really like him. And Boston's like, well, are you going to take Fultz at 1? Like, yeah, we will see. But if they completely agreed that the only way they can do this trade is if they are taking Markelle Fultz at number 1, and any other scenario, we do not agree to a trade, we're not doing this, and then they trade it, then that's completely different to me if they go back on their word on that. So I don't know what else to say about it. Let's just move on to something else. Like, I just don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, it's stupid.
Bluffing and lying are two completely different, man. What the F? How is bluffing not lying, Alex? I mean, like, I wouldn't do that move if it's going to get out because then other GMs are going to hate you. Like, I don't know. It becomes a morale thing. And honestly, like, this is what I'm going to end with. The only reason why I think it's fine is because I think other GMs would do it to me if they could. If I was a GM, I think other GMs would do that. I think GMs would do whatever they could within the rules to make stuff happen. And maybe I'm wrong. If I was the only GM that would do that, I probably wouldn't do that. But the way I look GMing in the NBA, it's whatever you can do, even if it's at the expense of another GM. So, that's what I'm ending with.
Okay.
Eric says you could do it, but it would backfire since everyone would hate you. Yeah, I mean, like, that's another aspect of that, but... Yeah, so, anyway. Talk about the Clippers collapse.
Clippers are choke artists.
Yeah, go in on that.
Yep. Clippers are... I cannot believe they blew double-digit leads in all those games. I mean, they just choked. Like, their 2 best players were horrible in the second half of that game. They had the worst fourth quarter of any 2 superstars probably in the history of the playoffs. And they had no business letting the Nuggets come back and win any of those 3 games. But yeah, they're a complete joke. And I can give Kawhi a pass because he's obviously proven on 2 other teams that he is a champion level player, but everyone else on that team is a fraud, including their coach. And yeah, that's how I feel about the Clippers.
Yeah. I don't know. Twitter was fun to watch after that. Dame and CJ, it was fun to watch their Twitters after that.
Yep. I was surprised they went on so hard.
I wasn't. They were vocal, wild, man. And honestly, that's the thing is, like, they're not... Dame isn't the kind to start stuff, but he'll be vocal if you start stuff with him. That's kind of how I am. Like, and I'll like give you a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? Like, that's how Dame was. Dame wouldn't have been saying anything like that if they didn't start stuff with him.
Well, yeah, because, like, someone was like, well, what about Kawhi? You're not going in on him. And he's like, oh, Kawhi's cool. that guy's a champion and a star or whatever. But
was it CJ that said that?
Or one of them, yeah. No, I think it was Dame. I'm pretty sure it was Dame.
Yeah, exactly.
But
like, I'll say Travis Demers is cool.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious when they made the comments or whatever, but just the fact that they kept going and going and going and going, that was hilarious, I think. But yeah.
James said Kawhi had nothing left to prove. He's like the only one on that team that has nothing left to prove. So that's the thing. Everybody's clowning Kawhi and stuff, and I get it, but like everybody's justifying clowning Kawhi because people clown LeBron over like struggling in the playoffs and like make it out to be more than this. Like
it was just a year ago where Kawhi wheeled the team to the championship.
I know. So. In both situations, people are like, you have haters that are too critical of LeBron. You have LeBron haters that are too critical of him. And now it's like people are justifying being like super critical of Kawhi because LeBron haters hate on LeBron. You know what I mean? Like, either way, like, they've won multiple championships. Kawhi led a Raptor team to his first championship ever. You had LeBron leading Cleveland. Like, I get it, LeBron after his 2 Miami championships, if you like rag on him because he had to join a super team to do it. But once he came back and won a championship with Cleveland, it kind of cemented him in as a number 2 player all time for me. And after that, it's just, you still got people that try and discount everything he's ever done. Mm-hmm. And they try and magnify his struggles while discounting and discrediting everything that he's achieved. And now all of a sudden, like, since LeBron haters do that, now people are discounting what Kawhi has done in like putting a magnifying glass. He blew a 3-1 lead. He only shot 6 for 22. It's like, yeah, good players will have bad games. You know what I mean? Like, they definitely choked, but that was more on the rest of the team than Kawhi, because Kawhi's a guy who's shown that he can lead a team. And meanwhile, you had guys like Montrezl Harrell who weren't good pretty much all series long. You had guys like Lou Williams, who I believe shot under 10% from 3 for the series. You have Pandemic P, who did not play well at all, like, who struggled all playoff long. So that's the thing. You had Doc Rivers not making adjustments. So, like, I'm not blaming Kawhi.
I'll admit, when he shot that wide open 3 off the side of the backboard, that was awesome.
Dame's response to that was perfect.
No one deserves that more than...
Jeez, man. His body language was so bad. It's like, that's the thing, man. You haven't proven anything. Why are you talking? I don't get it.
And then all this crap about, oh, I'm not a star, why do you treat me like I am? Like, shut up, dude. You act like you're like the best player in freaking the world. Like, so... Yeah, Way Off P is a great nickname.
So that was funny. I don't know. I mean, like, Denver, it's going to be interesting to see them play against the Lakers, because that's the thing, is like the Clippers struggled with Dallas. I can't really tell exactly how good of a playoff team they were. Because, like, yes, they beat Dallas, but they needed 6 games, and Dallas had injuries. Luka Doncic was gimpy. Porzingis missed games. So, if they were healthy, maybe that goes 7. You know what I mean? Maybe Dallas even wins that series. Like, they struggled with Dallas, and then they're just so inconsistent. Like, there was such long stretches where it was like that Clipper team did not look good at all. And it wasn't necessarily because of Denver. It was because the Clippers were slow, stagnant, not getting good shots. Doc wasn't making adjustments. So it's like, now the Nuggets are going to get a good gauge. Like, what they've done is super impressive, but I'm kind of thinking it might potentially be more like what we did last year with beating OKC and then Denver, with Denver be obviously Clippers are a more talented team than OKC was, but with how they were playing for stretches, it's just like they looked more like pretenders than contenders to me. There were certain spurts where they looked great and they looked like they could be a team that could take on the Lakers, but there were stretches, inexplicable stretches, where they didn't look good. So now it's like, okay, now you're definitely, you're facing a contending team in the Lakers. Now this is their gauge.
There's a reason why the Nuggets were down 3-1 in both series so far. They had not played well, and it took basically just immaculate second halves in 3 straight games to even beat the Clippers, who, like you said, wasn't even playing that great to begin with, but you were down big in all those games too. But yeah, this definitely reminds me of us last year, them winning that game, and then the celebration afterwards and all that stuff. Like, I have a feeling they're just gonna be happy to have gotten this far at this point and not have, because we definitely lost some a little bit of edge heading into that Warriors series, that we had arrived in, monkeys off the back type of thing, like we got out of the second round, and I kind of see the parallels between that and the Nuggets. It'll be interesting to see if they can combat that and actually make this a series, or if they're just going to completely get ran over like we did in the Western Conference Finals last year.
Yeah. Part of the reason why I even said that is because I did say that Denver has never been contenders, but that's the thing. Everybody's like, so what do you say it now? Because I tweeted out, a couple weeks ago, like, Denver has never been contenders. Well, yeah, they had never been contenders until potentially now. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't necessarily wrong. I never said, like, oh, they'll never be contenders. I never said that. But people make it out like I did. No, I said they had never been contenders. That's the thing. I word things in a specific way for a reason. That's why I said it like that. They had never been contenders up until that point. Like, part of that was to say, like, I don't think Portland beat a contending level Denver team. And whatever Denver does now doesn't change that. Like, I don't think that Denver team in the second round was a contention level team. They almost lost in the first round with home court advantage to the San Antonio Spurs, to LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, because they were letting, like, Derek White go off. You know what I mean? So that Denver team last year wasn't a contender. They hadn't been a contender. Now I think they're definitely the best version of themselves that they've ever been with Jokic and Murray.
But still, if they lose to, Utah could have very easily knocked them out of the first round, and then what is everyone saying about Denver? Like, they're complete frauds, and so they're Conley's last second three almost went in, but they almost lost all three of those games when they were down 3-1. So you would be 100% right if Utah just took care of business and won one out of those three games.
If Mike Conley made a shot, I'd be 100% right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's why they're really that good, or are they just
That's why this is.
Clippers got up 3-1 and definitely took their foot off and thought they had that series won. They didn't think there was any way, even going into Game 7, they played like they were winning that game no matter what happened. And you can't win. I mean, Denver's good. They're not like horrible. They can take advantage of that. And I will say this: we gave Mike Malone a little bit of crap for not adjusting earlier. He made some tremendous second half adjustments in the last few games that won them that series. And obviously he's got good personnel to do that as well. But you see a coach like Doc Rivers didn't make any adjustments at halftime. They go from being up 15 late in the third quarter of the last couple games to losing those games and completely just not even doing anything. Like, what were they doing in the fourth quarter of that Game 7? There was no movement. They were just taking turns shooting, going one-on-one, all ISO. There was no structure to their offense. Like, all the things we talk about with the Blazers was manifesting in the coaching of Doc Rivers in that series.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Doc is like Stotts in the way that he does not take responsibility for anything. He's very Stotts-like in the post-game news conference. That's what I've realized. But the thing is, like, he's on a national stage. LA Clippers, like, they have a lot more national attention on them than the Blazers do. So Doc was getting called out on the fact that he doesn't take responsibility. Sports Talk Radio, there's a Sports Talk Radio show that I heard calling him out, and I saw it on Twitter, and I saw Doc Rivers getting called out for never taking responsibility for anything. The thing is, Terry Stotts is lucky. He's in Portland. He will probably never get called out on doing the same exact thing that Doc Rivers does.
Yep.
So,
and just look, I mean, we talk about personnel versus coaching and all that stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
Doc Rivers had a team with freaking Chris Paul, who we all agree is like one of the best on-court coaches, player-wise, that you can get, right? So he had Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and now he's got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and he still can't even make the Western Conference Finals and get out of the second round in LA. And how long has he been there? Like 7 years. That's really, really sad.
Clippers are cursed, man. I feel bad for that Clipper fan we
This is
we
this is
saw.
twice they've been up 3-1, right? Because they were up 3-1 on the Rockets a
Hmm.
few years ago, right? And they choked that one away as well.
Didn't they like choke a 25-point lead in one of those games or something like that?
I want to say that's right. Yeah, I think it was game five. They were up 3-1 and had like a 20 some point lead second half, and uh, Houston just went crazy. I remember like Corey Brewer hitting a bunch of shots or something, and uh, yeah, and then they went on to win the series.
Yeah. So I mean, that's even. I don't know. I feel like that. I don't know which one would be rougher. Losing 3-1 when you were up 25 in game 5, or like losing this year when like they were thought to have a better chance than they did the last time they blew it 3-1.
Yeah, because I mean, you see what Kawhi did to Giannis in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So I don't think the Bucks losing necessarily hurt them, but it just seems like it was set up to whatever team came out of that LA versus LA series was going to win it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they definitely blew a chance, and Kawhi, that would have been huge for his leg to go to back with two different teams like that. Teams that had never won a title too. It's not like he went to the Lakers and like LeBron winning a title this year when they have like 16 titles or 18 or how many ever they have. Like that's not the same. But so that would have been a pretty amazing accomplishment. But yeah, he couldn't get it done.
If only we beat the Lakers, though.
Yeah.
We would have had to beat Houston, Denver, and one of Boston or Miami to win a championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
We literally have owned Houston this year. We beat Denver last year. I know Denver's better now, but we beat Denver last year. And then Boston or Miami. That's kind of sad to think about.
Yeah. Ben Hewitt thinks you're ignoring him. I don't know what
I'm
he's
not
trying
reading
to tell
chat
you.
right now. What's up? He said wish Stotts would retire, and then he said Tory. So I don't know what he's.
Earlier, he said Tori keeps ignoring me or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, on Discord. You can't. Didn't you say you couldn't log on to Discord right
Half
now
our
or something?
messages don't like go through on Discord. So I don't know if there's been like an issue with me not getting his messages. So I might have accidentally like skipped over them and not realized it too. Because I only click on ones that have like the red notification icon. So if I didn't respond to you, my bad. Also, if you like spam my DMs on Twitter, don't be offended if I don't respond. Because like I have a lot of people that DM me just random stuff, and I respond a lot of times. But if you're just 3-4 times in a day like spamming me stuff with like my name and that's it, and don't even say anything, like don't be offended if I don't respond. Because I'll get people to do that. They'll just be like Tory, and it's like okay. I'll be working, I'll be like just close that. So don't be offended by that. You can DM me if you actually like have something to say, but if you have like a basketball opinion or something, just tweet it at me. Because sometimes people will DM me stuff that's like, why didn't you just tweet this at me where I could like respond on Twitter? You know what I mean? Like, why DMing this to me? I don't get it. So best top 3 Blazers defenders. Trent Ariza Nurk. I think that's popular opinion. For a good reason too. That's what I'd go with. Nayland, I don't even know who you are on Twitter, to be honest.
He's nailing.
Is he?
Yeah.
Do I follow him? I searched for Nayland, I didn't find one. I don't know. But Trevin, don't DM me saying Tory.
He's nailing NAYLANG 17. There's your Twitter shout out, Neil.
Nailing what?
17 or something.
Nailing 17. Okay, there's your follow. Oh, Mike followed me. He refollowed me. Welcome back, Michael. What? Why is chat moving so fast right now? It's literally midnight.
Chat's been popping.
Yeah.
Ben. Alright.
See, I should have never said anything, because now I got Trevin.
Yep. You know better than to say that with
I'm
all
literally
these
just
spots.
going to mute your guys' DMs if you do that. So tread carefully. Carefully. I can't talk. But if you DM me about real stuff, then that's chill.
I did love your challenge of people on your last trade talk video to come up with a legit, realistic Whiteside sign and trade.
I knew you'd have fun with that. I knew you'd have fun with that.
I was actually thinking about like what it would actually take to make that a reality. And I think the only way it would be possible is if there was a team that really, really, really wanted to rebuild and didn't care about the next couple of years, but wanted the number 16 pick for some reason, and was basically like just saying, "No, we'll sign Whiteside and we'll trade you." Like if Detroit wanted another like first round pick or something, it was like, we'll sign and trade Snell for Whiteside in the 16th pick or something. I'm not saying I'd do that. I'm just like trying to come up with a reason for doing that.
Is that even allowed? Isn't that tampering?
Yeah, it is tampering, but you could like hint that they take the take who they want at the 16 or whatever. I guess we'd have to pick 16, and it would have to be whatever player
like,
that
break the rule. Cheat. I wish, honestly, if we could get something back for him with him going elsewhere, yeah. I would definitely.
I guess it would have. So yeah, you're right. It would have to be like whoever we took at 16 would have to be who they wanted, and then yeah, they try to sign Whiteside and work.
If there was like an obvious pick at 16. If there's an obvious pick at 16, like say I don't know, Okoro fell or something. I don't know. Like there's an obvious pick at 25. If there's an obvious pick at 16, then they'd probably want.
That I don't know if you follow that Brendan guy that's like a Cavs fan on Twitter.
I follow multiple Brendans. I'm not sure.
He talks about the draft a lot, but if Alex Wolf's still in here, yeah, he can relate to him as a Cavs fan maybe, but he thinks Okoro's like by far the number one best player in this draft. It's at like Brendan something. I don't know.
Brendan, you really helped narrow it down. Colarusso?
I don't know. Hold on.
I follow Brendan Colarusso. I gotta go into that guy's mentions for a second. Because that's terrible.
Where is Io gonna go? He went back to college, so.
Isaac Okoro is not a lottery talent. You guys tripping.
Hey, you have Jason is in here saying that Tyrese Maxey is a top 10 player in this draft. You have a fellow Tyrese Maxey lover in the draft.
Yeah, I think I have him at 10th. I've noticed I'm kind of biased towards guards in this draft, though. I don't know. Like, because I like Maxey, I like Ramsey, I like Killian Hayes, I like, who's the other guard? Kira Lewis. I think I'm a little too biased towards guards in this draft, so.
Dude, I was listening to a show, I forget which one, but they were like, actually, I think it might have been Jason Quick or something, but someone was saying like, yeah, Portland will probably take another guard like Jamius Ramsey or something. I just thought about you, like he would be like stoked if we got him at 16 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be stoked if we got him at 16. I feel like we could trade down and take him and like get another asset, you know? Because like his draft stock, I don't think is that high, but like we already have so many guards. That it's like we should. I don't know. I don't want like a log jam there, even if it's a guy I want, you know.
Would you want Kira Lewis?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what his wingspan is, honestly.
Yeah. It's so hard. I'm waiting for that stuff. Like, I just want all that information to be in.
Because, like, he is 6'3", so, like, if he has the wingspan to be able to guard shooting guards, yeah, I'd want him because I think he could play off the ball effectively.
Yeah, we do have a second-round pick, number 46.
For once.
I don't think he'll fall to 46, though.
I mean, but, like, that's the thing, is, like, if we did, like, 16th pick for Bielitsa and 35, I'd want to use 35 and 46 to maybe trade up to, like, 28 and try and take Ramsey if he was there. Like, that would be phenomenal, I think. That would be, like, my draft pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, people want people want Pritchard other than him being a Duck.
That's all the
reason. From Portland.
But
nobody would want him for his game. That you know what drives me crazy is like you have these Duck fans on Twitter. It's just like, oh my god, if Olshey drafts another guard, but then I'll see them say something like, I really hope the Blazers draft Peyton Pritchard. Like, okay, so which is it? You can't be pissed if Olshey drafts a guard, but then be like, want him to draft Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard is a guard. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I fully expect us to trade the 46th pick for like a future second or something, just to have unless we use it in a trade before the draft. But I think we're just going to trade that because I don't think they're too concerned about having another second round guy. I think they'll just try to re-sign Gabriel, and they have plenty of developmental players at the end of our roster. So
take
or for yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the other option. Yeah. If they keep the pick, I fully expect them to take someone like that.
Bro, I'd be so.
Bro, you would
I'd be
stoked.
like, I know this guy, and every Blazer fan would be like, "Who the hell is this European?" I'll be like, "He's low-key good. He's my deep sleeper." And then you'd have like people that all of a sudden like watch his highlights would be like, "Oh yeah, this guy's gonna be really good."
Where was that you posted? Was that in the group chat or on the forum?
I don't remember.
You recently posted. Tori posted like a video or something of him, or like mentioned his name or something, and then you had like 2 or 3 people like, "Wow, that guy's really good! Like, I love that guy," and they had never heard of him, but they like just because you mentioned his name, like they all love him.
I mean, like if you didn't know, I here's what I'm trying to do with this draft. I'm trying to not base players off of where the consensus is ranking them. You know what I mean? Because like if you like watch the same, basically say you have a carbon copy of someone, like say you have like 2 players that play exactly alike. If one is the consensus says he's a top 10 pick and one the consensus says he's an early second round pick, you're going to think that the guy who's the consensus top 10 pick is better after watching his footage. Just because you're conditioned to agree with what the consensus says. So for me, I've really tried this year not basing any of my opinions off of what the consensus is. That's why I have a guy like Jamius Ramsey above LaMelo Ball. Like that's why. The consensus would say that's absolutely insane, but that's why I have Jamius Ramsey above LaMelo Ball.
Yep, I agree. That's kind of my approach too. And we're obviously going to be wrong on some. You know, if LaMelo Ball's good, we're both going to take a lot of heat. But I can handle that. It's fine.
I found this guy. Braden Ballin.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Isaac Okoro has the tools, the athleticism, the IQ, and the motor. Best player in the draft. I replied, I said biggest bust in the draft.
Yeah, we've had a conversation. He hates all the big. He hates Toppin. He hates Kongwu. He hates Wiseman.
Why?
He loves Okoro and LaMelo Ball. I don't know.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
He thinks they're all going to be...
Because, like, Toppin, Wiseman, and Okongwu are so completely different from each other.
Yeah.
That I don't understand how you can hate all three.
Right.
You know? Because
he just hates big guys. Yeah. A part of it's their situation because they have Drummond and Love and, well, they don't need Larry Nance Jr. or whatever. But
they shouldn't bring back Drummond. Love isn't a part of their future. They shouldn't be basing drafting us.
Exactly.
I could understand them maybe not wanting Toppin because he's just up there in age, and you're building for like after Kevin Love, and like you're building for like 3 to 5 years from now. So maybe Toppin doesn't fit as well with that. But like, what you ain't saying no to a 19-year-old guy like a Kongwu because of Andre Drummond, who's a free agent, and because you got Kevin Love. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Like, the Miami Heat didn't say no to Bam Adebayo because they had Hassan Whiteside, did they? And look at where it's led them. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we know Drummond has a player option, but he's already pretty much said that he was going to accept it. And Caleb, I thought Luka should have been the number 1 pick in the draft. Tori was high on him, but not quite as high as me. But yeah.
Who would you say?
Luka Doncic.
I don't remember, honestly. I had questions about him. I don't know. I didn't know how to feel about Luka. Like, I was so split on him.
We did a mock-off draft, and I was the Hawks, and I got Luka in that one. I was pretty proud of that.
Franco just asked when the buy-in was due. I said September 17th.
Yesterday.
But yeah, see, I'm gonna look up like what I said about Luka.
I would have taken him over 8, and I know a lot of other people wouldn't have, but definitely would have taken him over Bagley.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Obviously, no one knew he was going to be this good, fast.
There was Blazer fans trying to say that like Olshey should definitely trade CJ McCollum in order to draft Luka Doncic. And I was like, no, this is something that I said May 26, 2018. I said, nobody's going to trade Luka Doncic for CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
But
we both really like Mo Bamba, and we both like Mikal Bridges in that draft. But yeah.
I did say overrated was Luka Doncic. That was in May, though. I kind of came around on him. I said overrated Luka Doncic, Trae Young. I was wrong on that. And guess who the third one from that draft that I said was overrated? Should be obvious. So obvious. I'm surprised.
Overrated?
Yes, from that
Michael
draft.
Porter Jr.?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Underrated, I said Mo Bamba, Colin Sexton, Mikal Bridges, Chandler Hutchison.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you loved yourself some Chandler Hutchison.
I loved Mo Bamba, too.
Yeah.
Mo Bamba needed to go somewhere else, though. He got a raw deal where he ended up. But, yeah, I'm trying to see what I said on Luka, because... Oh, God. Okay, so just random trade idea from 2 years ago. I'm just kind of on the forum before we log off. CJ plus Aminu plus 24 for Love, Korver, and 8. And then, this is somebody else's idea. Korver, Myers, Layman, and 8 for Parsons and 4. I'm not even sure that'd work. And then take Luka at 4. And I said, oh my God. I said, take Bamba instead and sign and trade Nurkic for a shooting guard. What?
Why did you say
I
that?
don't know what the hell was wrong.
Did you say we got love though? Maybe that's what.
Yeah. So I
That's
said
bad.
take Bamba instead of
You should
Luka.
have said that over there.
No, I was higher
just
on
kidding.
Bamba than Luka. I was wrong, 100%. Nah, I need to. I can admit when I was wrong. Yeah. Take Bamba instead of Luka and sign and trade Nurkic for a shooting guard. Because I was thinking start Bamba and then Nurkic for a shooting guard. I don't even know.
You were talking about. You were triggering me back then. 2 years.
I'm
ago.
not sure. You were high on Bamba too, I thought.
No, that's not Lava. Not higher than.
Like, you just look at his tools and the fact that he, like, has shooting potential, and I don't know, man. Like, he should hypothetically. And the idea of Mo Bamba is so much better than who he actually is.
His combine measurements were a little too spicy too.
Yeah, like freaking 7'10" wingspan. He's 7'1" and can shoot, and hypothetically could be like a Gobert-esque. I thought he was gonna be like Rudy Gobert with a 3-point shot, which would be a hell of a player. Like, that's who I thought Mo Bamba would be. If he ended up somewhere else, he still might have been. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was split on Luka. I thought he was a little overrated, and obviously I was 100% wrong. I just didn't think he had the quickness to be able to get into the paint, but he's so crafty with the ball and such a good ball handler. I really underrated his ball handling. That's what I really underrated. I really underrated his ball handling. And then he has, like, the strength and the size to be able to, like, use his body to get into the lane as well.
Oh, he's tremendous at using his body. Because you are right. He's not super athletic. He's not, like, crazy talented or anything. He's just knows how to use the skills he has to his advantage.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
It's sad.
good one, IJ.
That's
Game is over.
the dumbest thing I've heard. But no, it's always sad when it's like the idea of them is so much better than what they actually end up being.
Yeah.
And it's extra sad when it's like part of that is because, like, Bamba gets put in Orlando behind Vucevic. Like, it's not a good situation for him.
But look at our other favorite player of that draft, Mikal Bridges. He gets drafted by Philadelphia. And once again, Philadelphia screws up and trades him for Zaire Smith and another pick or whatever. But they could have Mikal Bridges right now, who would be an excellent wing next to Simmons. Yeah. And Mikal, I thought, was going to struggle. He needs to be on a good team. And as you saw, as Phoenix played better, his role increased, and he played a lot better on a good team too. So he played really well in the bubble.
I mean, but, like, I don't know. They should. That's the thing, is if you have a guy that can play point guard at 6'10", you should surround him with big switchable wings, because, like, your point guard can guard point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, and power forwards. He's like the only guy that could play point guard in the league that could guard 4, maybe 5 possessions. So that presents an opportunity for you to have just enormous switchability. You know what I mean? Like, if you put like I don't know, like Paul George has been the shooting guard and he's like 6'9" or whatever, like that would be like a hype, obviously Paul George is really good and it would have been hard for them to get, but hypothetically that would be like the ideal shooting guard for Philadelphia next to Simmons. If you get all
playoffs.
Guys that are like, well, yeah, I just mean in terms of size defensively.
Yeah.
Like, if you could get Ben Simmons,
throw my
6'10"
shot
point
up,
guard, and then like a 6'8" shooting guard, a 6'9" or 6'10" small forward, a 6'9", 6'10" power forward, and forwards that can guard point guards, like versatile defenders, like Harkless, Aminu types defensively. And then you have Embiid there. Like, bro, one, you ain't going to out-rebound that team. Also, that team can switch 1 through 4 and not have a single mismatch. Like, defensively and on the boards, they would be dominant. You know what I mean? Like, the offensive fit might be questionable, but rebounding and their defense would be like top 3 if they did something like that. So that's how they should have tried to build the team. Instead, they went and got Markelle Fultz and traded Mikal Bridges, who would have fit into that, I think. Like, if you had a good ball handling small forward, you could have had Mikal Bridges be the 2. You know what I mean? And he can guard 1 through 3 and some 4s. Like Mikal Bridges would fit into that. They traded him for Zaire Smith. So they should have just tried to chase switchability with that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm really
Tobias Harris doesn't fit at all because he can't guard 1s or 2s. So
yeah. So that's the thing. I'm high on switchability though. Like, I hated on the Blazers for switching because they didn't have the pieces that should be switching, right? So, like, yeah, you could blame Olshey because he didn't get versatile defenders, but, like, Stotts shouldn't be switching players that aren't versatile defenders, you know? But that's why it's, like, my pipe dream is to get Chris Middleton to be the starting shooting guard, to have Ariza at the 3, and then, like, sign Mo Harkless to be the starting 4. That might be a teaser for an article coming up, by the way. I'm sorry to spoil it, but, like...
Sneak peek.
But if you had Middleton at the 2, Ariza at 3, Harkless at the 4, they're all switchable with each other. They all can guard each other's guys and not be in mismatches, so that makes it easier in scramble situations. If you end up switching players in a scramble situations, that ends up making it easier if there's a screen amongst 2 players that those 3 are guarding, because you can switch those screens. That makes it easier in transition, because a lot of times you can't get back to your guy, you have to pick up somebody else's. It just makes it overall easier to defend. So I'm high on switchability. That's what Philadelphia should have chased. That's what the Clippers had 2 through 4 for the most part. Then they traded Harkless for Marcus Morris. And Marcus Morris is better offensively, but he can't guard 1s and 2s as well. So I think their defense suffered a little bit because of that move.
You know who's really has a lot of switchability?
Who?
Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, but also he's literally worse than I am offensively.
I'm just teasing
you. I mean, he does, but, like, the dude, I don't know. If he can shoot, I don't think he'll ever be able to shoot, but if he can shoot, he could be really good. I just don't think he'll ever be able to shoot.
Yeah.
I think he'll be like Michael Gilchrist. Like, his shot isn't that bad, but, like, he has no touch on his shot at all, and I don't think that's something you could just easily find. So that's my thing with Okoro.
Mike.
What?
Sherman says Nuggets are 3-0 since that MPJ interview.
Yeah, and it's not because they're going to MPJ more. So
the hilarious thing about it is that it's been all Jokic and Murray. It's like they didn't change anything.
Exactly. So anyway, I gotta run and pick up the DoorDash order that I picked up. So we will catch you guys on Monday. Site launch should be by then.
Sorry. Love you, man. I'm sorry for questioning your character. That's my bad.
I appreciate your apology because I'm never going to be an NBA GM, so we never have to worry about that. But yeah, man, we will catch you guys on Monday. We'll probably have a video or 2 before then. I'm not sure. We're doing the mailbags and the trade talk stuff. But I need to drop the Blazers Pulse. That's why I needed to drop. So I will get to that for you guys. I've just been busy with a lot of stuff, as you guys know, on this website about to launch. So I'm excited for that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy that website. Stay up to date with me on Twitter. Follow our new channel Twitter page, at Blazers Uprise YT. We just started a new one, so go follow it. Follow me at Tory Jones YT. Follow Eric at HoopsJock. That's our Twitters. So anyway, I think that's a wrap for this. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good rest of your night. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.